In 1607, a group of English settlers arrived in North America. They built a settlement called Jamestown, in what is today Virginia. This marked the beginning of English colonization in the New World. Life was hard for these early colonists. They faced disease, starvation, and conflict with Native American tribes. Despite these challenges, the colony at Jamestown survived. More English settlements followed in the coming decades. Each colony had its own unique character and goals. Some were founded for religious freedom, while others were established for economic opportunity. The colonists came from diverse backgrounds, but they shared a common language and a desire for a new life. This shared experience helped to create a sense of unity among the colonies. By the mid-18th century, 13 colonies had taken root along the Atlantic coast. These colonies were home to a growing population of farmers, merchants, and artisans. The colonists had developed their own systems of government and were accustomed to a degree of self-rule. However, they were still subjects of the British Crown, and this relationship would soon be put to the test. As the colonies grew and prospered, tensions with Great Britain began to rise. The British government imposed taxes and regulations that many colonists found unfair. The colonists protested these actions, arguing that they should not be taxed without representation in the British Parliament. This cry of "no taxation without representation" became a rallying call for colonial resistance. The relationship between Great Britain and the 13 colonies continued to deteriorate. Events like the Boston Massacre, where British soldiers fired upon unarmed colonists, further inflamed tensions. By 1775, the colonies and Great Britain were on the brink of war. The American Revolutionary War began in April 1775 with the battles of Lexington and Concord. Colonial militiamen, known as Minutemen, clashed with British troops. These early battles marked the beginning of a long and bloody conflict. The colonists were fighting for their independence, for the right to govern themselves free from British interference. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress, representing the 13 colonies, took a bold step. They declared their independence from Great Britain with the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This document, written primarily by Thomas Jefferson, proclaimed that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration of Independence was a powerful statement, not only for the colonists but for people around the world. It inspired other nations to fight for their own freedom and self-determination. The war for independence was long and arduous, but the colonists, led by General George Washington, ultimately prevailed. The British surrendered at Yorktown, Virginia in 1781, marking the end of the war. After gaining independence, the United States faced the challenge of building a new nation. The Founding Fathers drafted the Constitution, establishing a system of government based on the principles of democracy, liberty, and justice. The Constitution created a balance of power between the federal government and the states, and it guaranteed certain rights and freedoms to all citizens. The young nation grew rapidly in the 19th century. Waves of immigrants, primarily from Europe, arrived seeking new opportunities and a better life. They brought with them their cultures, traditions, and skills, contributing to the rich tapestry of American society. The arrival of millions of immigrants fueled industrial growth, expanded agriculture, and helped to populate the expanding nation. Westward expansion also marked this period. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the size of the United States, opening up vast territories west of the Mississippi River for exploration and settlement. The discovery of gold in California in 1848 sparked a massive gold rush, attracting fortune seekers from around the globe. However, the nation's growth and prosperity came at a cost. Slavery, a deeply divisive issue since the colonial era, continued to plague the young republic. The southern states, heavily reliant on slave labor for their agricultural economy, resisted calls for abolition. Tensions between the North and South over slavery reached a boiling point in 1861 with the outbreak of the Civil War. The Civil War was a brutal and bloody conflict that tore the nation apart. The Union, representing the North, fought to preserve the Union and abolish slavery. The Confederacy, representing the Southern states, fought to secede from the Union and maintain their way of life. After 4 years of devastating warfare, the Union emerged victorious in 1865. The Confederacy was defeated, slavery was abolished, and the nation began the long process of healing and reunification. The Civil War remains a defining moment in American history, a testament to the enduring power of the principles of freedom and equality. Following the Civil War, the United States continued to expand its influence both domestically and internationally. The Industrial Revolution transformed the American economy, with new technologies and industries emerging. The rise of railroads, steel production, and oil refining fueled economic growth and led to the creation of vast fortunes. As the United States grew in power and influence, it became increasingly involved in world affairs. In the early 20th century, the nation entered World War I, aiding Allied forces in their fight against Germany and the Central Powers. The war had a profound impact on American society, leading to social and political changes.